everybody's heard you're playing chess while they're playing checkers. That would be the relevant takeover.
Yes, and hopefully you're not playing against one of the grandmasters.
You're in trouble if that's the case.
In this episode, we set sail into blue ocean strategy, where smart entrepreneurs leave competitive waters behind and chart bold new markets that competitors haven't yet discovered. Please subscribe to our podcast to stay updated. And for more information, visit our website at prospirit.com. Also, if you know someone who might enjoy our content, please share our podcast with them to help us grow.
The Let's Get Entrepreneurial podcast is your ultimate launch pad for igniting ideas and skyrocketing your entrepreneurial dreams. Your two hosts will be Professor Gary Palin and serial entrepreneur Ryan Budden.
Good morning, Professor Palin. How are you?
Doing very well. Having a busy week. I have a guest at my home this week.
Oh, yeah? Who's that?
That's my grandson. He's spending the week with us, and we're having a lot of fun, good times.
Fantastic. I'm glad you're able to spend some time there.
The biggest part of life.
Yeah. Let's dive right into this then so you can get back to hanging out with him.
That sounds good. I think we might be going to hit baseballs today.
Very cool. I know baseball is a big part of your family history, or family tradition, I should say.
Yes.
Today we're here to talk about blue oceans. So really the blue ocean strategy is what it's commonly referred to. We always like to start with a definition. A blue ocean is an innovative space with little to no direct competition. People really like to think of these as new markets, something where people haven't done this before, and the no competition is the key to it.
That concept of new markets, it gets a little bit confused with that. For example, Southwest Airlines did a blue ocean. It's not that they created a new market, but they went where the competition was not. They identified various pain points, but they created and eliminated flight meals, seat assignments, first-class service. They've reduced the complexity and turnaround time for booking. They created a low-cost, reliable airlines. But the reason it's a blue ocean is they weren't targeting the competition and the airline travelers. They were targeting people that traveled with car, bus, and railroad, creating a new market with a totally new target. So they weren't going up against the Deltas, the Americans, etc.
That's a really good one to put a little bit of framework over this blue ocean, because people often tend to conflate it with entirely new markets that didn't exist before it. Another really good example is Airbnb. There were already hotels, there were already motels, all sorts of different levels of accommodation. Airbnb would definitely have been considered using a blue ocean strategy because they were going after the in-home, the personal sharing of space.
They were targeting a market that didn't go to the traditional hotels at that point in time when they launched. The contrary to this is referred to as a red ocean.
A red ocean is competitive, saturated, and price-driven industries. Think about fast food.
And very often you're competing on price and features at that point, and definitely an existing market. And usually it's a crowded, competitive market.
Right. It makes it really hard. But most companies operate inside of a red ocean.
This goes to the question, should a fledgling entrepreneur focus on blue ocean or red ocean? I tend to lean them away from blue ocean because that's an extremely difficult marketplace to identify, to market, to create the flow of volume of people that are jumping into this. Not that it's impossible, but it's much harder than going into a niche market, which is different than a blue ocean.
Yes, it is. There's a couple big pitfalls to blue ocean strategy. And as you just pointed it out, it's unknown. So they could be a blue ocean because there's no demand. I've actually worked as a consultant with companies that have identified a really great blue ocean strategy, put a lot of time and effort into it, only to find out that there's no competition because the market doesn't really exist. People don't really want this thing.
Exactly. And if someone is going to go into a blue ocean, instead of jumping in head first, I would suggest they look at our episode podcast about MVPs.
There we go. Yeah. It could be very helpful to you to at least test it.
You have to dip your toe into the blue ocean and get some feedback before dumping millions of dollars into this.
The other thing to identify really is people tend to think of blue ocean as this void of competition, and something you really have to keep in mind. It will seem like that in the beginning, but competition will follow you. If you are successful, you'll have first mover's advantage, but you will get competition in this market.
One of the difference from a red ocean to a blue ocean, the red ocean, you're looking to beat the rivals. Whereas in a blue ocean, you're looking to make the competition irrelevant.
I really like that use of terminology, actually. Make your competition irrelevant.
Again, with the red ocean, there's an existing demand. With the blue ocean, it's the created demand, and that comes into some of the difficulties we just talked about.
This may seem like if you're in a red ocean strategy, you're stuck. And one of the things I'd really like to convey is that if you're in a red ocean market or strategy and you'd like to get some of the advantages we're talking about, it is possible to shift the focus or even a single product within the company to test another strategy out.
There's a process that I suggest. First of all, you have to identify the pain points that the customers are ignoring being the key factor. And also, you want to eliminate what the industry takes for granted. Throw the rule book out. Don't worry about what the industry is currently doing. And you have to look at what's being underserved, and you increase what's being underserved, and then you reduce on what's being overserved. You create what's never been offered by doing that. And that's a pathway from going from red ocean to blue ocean.
That's a really good framework. You're focusing on what needs to happen and trying to eliminate the fluff.
Exactly. Instead of breaking the rules, you're just ignoring the rules. There are no rules, and you're creating your own rules.
That could be taken to any area of business. People overhype or overemphasize these existing rules that we've placed on ourselves. Now, there are laws we have to follow, but a lot of the norms that dictate market don't really exist. We've created them as a construct.
We're not going to deny that gravity exists, because gravity exists. We have the same concept in business. I can remember during the .com craze, they tried to say this is the new era of business, and they eliminated things like cash flow and replaced it with burn rate. Well, cash flow exists. You're not changing cash flow.
That's funny.
You're looking to identify the needs and then create the want and educate the market on the availability of that.
Yeah. And education is hard, but if you've done your preliminary work well, you know that there's going to be a demand there. So it can really become worth it.
We have more insights coming up, but first, here's a message worth your attention.
Welcome, everyone. Today, we're taking a focused and strategic look at company culture, not as something soft or abstract, but as a real driver of competitive advantage. We're using the Cultural Drivers of Competitive Advantage Analysis, or CDCA, a framework developed by ProfSpirit LLC. It's designed to help evaluate how well your culture supports execution, innovation, and long-term differentiation. Now, this isn't about general sentiment or vague values. CDCA measures 6 very specific drivers that impact how you perform as an organization: strategic clarity, market orientation, innovation activation, empowered execution, entrepreneurial thinking, and cultural consistency. In today's market, cultural alignment isn't a nice-to-have. It's a strategic necessity. This analysis will help you see where you're strong, where things may be out of sync, and what you can do to close the gaps between where you are and where you need to go. It's about unlocking potential, not just in individuals, but in how you lead, how you collaborate, and how you execute. So let's use this as a moment to reflect, align, and elevate. If you want to explore more about the CDCA framework or talk about how it could support your team, visit profspirit.com. You'll find tools, examples, and ways to connect with us directly. Thank you for inviting us to be part of this effort. We're here to support you, so you can lead with intention and make culture your competitive edge.
Let's get back to the conversation.
The mistake people make also is they think, oh, we can ignore the competitors because we are not going a direct head-to-head. And that's not true. You have to understand the competitors to help identify where you can diverge from what they're doing.
Right. And that's the key. Often when we get in these conversations about blue ocean strategy, number one, it's a term that's overused. People always want to tell you that it's a blue ocean, that there's this huge untapped or unrealized demand that they're getting into that space. And number two, there's a lot of confusion about how to operate once you're inside of it. Focusing on how do we test it? How do we get into the market? How do we sustain that growth is really important.
Many people think because it's a blue ocean, we can just innovate and the customers will come. And that is so far from the truth. And to follow with what you were talking about is you still require validation, customer awareness, education, and then execution. The execution part's really hard also.
The execution is the hardest part about business. We talk about that quite frequently. There's a lot of good ideas. Actually making it happen is the hardest part that entrepreneurs face.
And it's probably the area where most people that I deal with are the weakest.
We were just talking about this before the call started. It's a difficult thing to recruit, and it's a difficult thing to foster in other people.
Again, we'll go back to one of our previous episodes with the 4 pillars of entrepreneurship that I developed. And the last one being the hardest to do and the hardest to teach is execution for success.
Without a doubt. I hope if you've been listening to this, you've got a good understanding of what a blue ocean strategy is. You understand the positives and also some of the drawbacks of it, and can avoid some of the pitfalls that people really stumble into when they're talking about a blue ocean strategy.
I would say if you're going into a blue ocean, it's really about strategic thinking. It's not about product tweaks.
Right. It's creating this environment that you're wanting to participate in.
And the good side is entrepreneurs are really uniquely positioned to create new markets as opposed to your more staid corporate. They have to quit focusing solely on competitors, which very often you'll see in corporate they're doing.
It's a game of chess once you get into the corporate world, of understanding your competitors' next moves and aligning yourself based on that. Whereas if you're looking at a blue ocean, you're trying to change the game. Everybody's heard you're playing chess while they're playing checkers. That would be the relevant takeover.
Yes, and hopefully you're not playing against one of the grandmasters.
You're in trouble if that's the case. Well, any final thoughts on this cool topic before we close out today?
The challenge really is to identify ways to eliminate, reduce, raise, or create when you're developing your business model. Not that you have to do all 4. Those are the 4 areas that I'd be thinking of if I were starting to look at a blue ocean. And also, there are blue ocean strategy worksheets or canvases that are available online.
Yeah, definitely that 4-action framework, eliminate, reduce, raise, or create, is going to help you get into the right mindset.
Well, in concluding, we hope that everyone will subscribe to Let's Get Entrepreneurial and help our podcast grow.
Let's get entrepreneurial.
Let's get entrepreneurial.
We extend our gratitude for your presence and attention. Check out profspirit.com to discover resources and courses designed specifically for innovators like you. Stay on the cutting edge by following us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and other platforms as it is released. Until then, keep the entrepreneurial flame burning.